Write this. Okay, so I'm going to give you an overview of what to expect for the test tomorrow. So the test tomorrow has 16 questions. So 16 questions. And again, you're going to write an algebra proof all by yourself, and then you're going to have a geometry proof that you're going to have to fill in some of the statements and some of the reasons. So as I go through each one of these sections, I'm going to tell you what to focus on for each one of the lessons. Now, also remember that from each one of the lessons, you can go back, you can use your warm-ups, you can use your notes, you can use your homework. So you don't necessarily have to focus on these 2 review assignments that I posted. Use everything that you have access to. Pretty good? Okay, so from 2-1, and again, you have the answers to this in that file that's on Canvas. So in 2-1, and this was what was on the quiz, and that's why we just went over the quiz answers. This is where you had to be able to write a conditional, which is the if-then form. Understand what it means to write a converse, where you reverse the order. Inverse, where you not it. Contrapositive, where you flip and negate. And then the biconditional, if and only if. So be able, just like you did on the quiz, where I give you the P and I give you the Q, be able to write one of these. Okay? So just like the question will be just like the quiz, except for it's going to be a different hypothesis and a different conclusion. So just remember that the letter P is for the hypothesis, and the letter Q represents the conclusion. So again, be able to write any one of these just like you did on the quiz. So these are the main things to know from section 1. Just know all of these terms. Okay, not necessarily the leap year, but this is just an example. And then they've got some practice problems here for you, which you have the access to the answers. Then in section 2.2, this is where we learned about inductive and deductive reasoning. So know the difference. This was on the quiz. Remember that inductive reasoning is based on a pattern or your observations to make up this pattern. And then deductive, it's based on facts, rules, definitions, properties. Also in section 2.2, you also need to know the laws of logic and how to apply them. So questions down here, 7 and 8, are examples of questions for laws of logic. You have your law of detachment, which is right here, and then law of syllogism. So if you're not sure and you need more practice problems, go back, do that section. Okay, so be able to understand the laws of logic. Now in this section, you were also asked to write conjectures and counterexamples. I'm not going to give you questions where you have to find a counterexample or write a conjecture. But know the laws of logic and know about inductive and deductive reasoning and how to apply them. Pretty good on 1 and 2. All right, now section 3. This is where you learned a bunch of postulates, and you also learned how to read diagrams. So in 2.3, you need to know the postulates, just like you did on the quiz, where I had given you the word if, a picture, the word then, and another picture. Either describe what's happening in those 2 pictures or give me the name of the postulate. So again, you need to know those postulates. Also be able to, from a diagram like this blue one or this green one that's here, be able to decide what you can conclude and what you can't. Some of the questions that I'm going to give you on this will be in the true-false format. So if you can conclude it, you say true. If you can't, you're going to say false. And then I'm also going to probably give you a multiple choice question, and there can be more than one answer, and it's going to say multiple response. So you're going to pick all the ones that you can't conclude from the diagram. So we didn't do this on the quiz. I made you write your own. Now you're going to just tell me, I'm going to give you a statement. So for example, the first one here, let's see, what was it? Like number 1, what you can conclude. Points A, B, and C are coplanar because they lie in plane M. So M is this one, and A's here, B's here, and C's here. They're all in that plane, so that's why you can conclude that. So you could say, yes, that's true. Things like that. So be able to decide what you can and can't conclude given a diagram. And again, know all the postulates and be able to identify them. So that was 2-3. 2-4, this was the algebraic reasoning. You are going to write a 2-column proof when you solve an algebra problem. So for example here, I know the instructions say justify each step, but on the test it's going to say write a 2-column proof. So all of the work that you spend solving the problem, those are going to be all your statements. And then the justification or the reason, your explanation, is going to be the reasons. So here where it says write the equation, that's where you're going to put given. So all of this is what you're putting here. This is explaining what you're doing, but this is how you're going to write the reasons. So be able to write a 2-column proof. You don't have to pull this middle thing, just the first one and the second one. So here's some practice problems that you can do. Also in 2-4, you learned a bunch of properties. Be able to identify a property. I'm not going to be giving you a bank of properties. You need to memorize all the properties and then be able to identify what they're showing. So know the properties from 2-4, 2-5, and 2-6. But we first learned them when we were dealing with the algebra. Then in 2-4 and 2-5, we found that we could also apply those same properties to geometry. So be able to write an algebra proof. And 2-5, this is where we started seeing proofs for segments, okay, and angles. And then we saw the angle pair relationships in 2-6. So in both 2-5 and 2-6, you need to know all the properties. So again, just like here, this is where I'm going to be giving you a proof. Now, the way the proof is going to be set up could be like this one. So maybe your proof, you have to fill in this blank. And these will be covered up. And you're going to have different spots where I either give you the statement and you have to give me the reason, or I give you the reason and then you've got to give me the statement. So you have to find the appropriate either statement or reason to fill it in. And again, more properties. And then the same thing in 2-6. So again, more proofs, and it also had more properties. In 2-6, there were also all those theorems. So this is where we saw the linear pair postulate, the vertical angles congruence theorem. So be able to apply all of those theorems to find values of x or y. So 16 questions. Most of the questions are 6 points each. The proofs are a little bit more. I believe they're 8 points each. So just know that each one of these missing pieces is like 2 points. So don't leave anything blank. Always attempt the algebra proof. The max you can get, I believe, is 8. But if you give me more than steps than you need, it's not like you get extra points because you write a longer proof than someone else. I'm just going to be looking for key main parts. And as long as those main key parts are there, you get full credit. If you add in extra stuff, that's fine. but it has to also make sense logically. You can't just write random statements just to fill the lines of the proof. Any questions? Yes. Yes. All right. Also posted a link to a Kahoot. So if you want to practice it, it's got a lot of the vocab in it. So you can use that to practice. And I think there was also let me see what else is in here. I thought I did one for the quiz too, right? Did I do let me see what I got in there.